All right, let's get right into it. Welcome, focus learners, to today's explainer. Today, we're metaphorically throwing on our trench coats, grabbing our magnifying glasses, and embracing a full-on linguistic detective motif. Why? Because we are going to master reading comprehension relationships. Specifically, we're cracking the analogy code. Look, if you've ever felt like standardized tests or those really complex texts are just trying to trick you with totally random word pairings, this explainer is a real game changer. We're zooming right in on Chapter 2 of our source text today, which is all about analogies. So here's our training docket for today. We've got the analogy crime scene, decoding the punctuation, and the active investigator mindset. Then we'll deploy the bridge sentence protocol, crack some case files together, and finally wrap it all up with the grand unified reading theory. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the analogy crime scene. Before we can actually solve a case, we have to understand exactly what kind of investigation we're conducting here, right? We need to establish the stakes. And I want to make something crystal clear right from the jump. Analogies are not just vocabulary tests. They really aren't. They aren't merely asking if you know what a specific word means. Instead, they are intricate logic puzzles just waiting to be solved. To crack them, you've got to step into the mindset of a detective, looking for the hidden mechanics working behind the words. Chapter 2 provides us with this official definition. An analogy is a similarity in some respects between things that are otherwise dissimilar. Well, let's break that down for a second. Take a fish and a bird. Obviously, they are very dissimilar creatures, right? But if we look past the animals themselves, we find a hidden connection in their attributes. As the text notes, you aren't matching vocabulary here. You're matching logic. You're trying to uncover the invisible string that ties two ideas together. Which brings us to Section 2, decoding the punctuation. Every good detective needs to know how to read the physical evidence at the crime scene, and in analogies, the punctuation is your most crucial piece of evidence. Notice how knowing this instantly demystifies that incredibly intimidating mathematical-looking format. When you see those colons, seriously, don't panic. You just need to translate them into plain English. A single colon simply translates to the words is to. The double colon in the middle, that translates to the word as. So you literally just read the evidence aloud in your head. Fish is to scales as bird is to feathers. Boom. It instantly turns a super abstract puzzle into a simple comparative sentence. All right, moving to Section 3, the active investigator. Decoding the punctuation is really just step 1. To actually solve the case, you need a massive mindset shift in how you approach your options. Think about the deeply flawed passive guesser versus our ultimate goal, the highly accurate active investigator. The passive guesser looks at the words and just kind of relies on general vibes. They cross their fingers, hoping to spot a familiar synonym. Because of this, they get totally distracted by trap answers and end up confused, basically just relying on luck. The active investigator, on the other hand, they ignore the answer choices completely at first, no peeking. They force a logical connection between the prompt words and build a rigid, repeatable sentence to test every single option. This is how you achieve absolute certainty. Let's get into Section 4, the bridge sentence protocol. So how exactly do we build that rigid sentence? This right here is the standard operating procedure that every single investigator must use to guarantee accuracy. It's a foolproof 1-2-3 protocol drawn straight from Chapter 2 of our source text. Step 1, identify the first 2 capitalized words. That's your primary evidence. Step 2, bridge them. You must create a short descriptive sentence that directly links word A to word B. Step 3, match. You plug every single answer choice into your exact bridge sentence. The correct answer is literally the only one that makes logical sense. By ignoring the answers until Step 3, you completely eliminate the distraction from those sneaky trap options. And you know, this brilliantly illustrates the genius of the bridge sentence. I want you to think of this as a literal bridge. The relationship carries all the weight, while the underlying architecture remains exactly identical. Once you build the bridge for word A and word B, you just swap out the words for word C and word D from your answer choices. The structure of your sentence does not change one bit. If the new words cause your bridge to collapse into utter nonsense, well, you just discard that suspect. Okay, time for Section 5, cracking the case files. I want you to actively participate here, okay? We're going to put the protocol to the test in a rapid-fire series of case files straight from our source material. Here's case file 001, the physical match. Your evidence is butter and bread. Your suspects are A, jam and jelly, B, paint and wood, and C, toast and jelly. Before we uncover the verdict, I'm challenging you right now. Pause for a second. Mentally form your bridge sentence. How exactly does butter relate to bread? Don't look at the answers yet. Build that bridge. Let's review the interrogation. The absolute best bridge sentence here is word A is used to cover word B, right? Butter is used to cover bread. So now we test the suspects. Is jam used to cover jelly? No, they're basically similar items. Is toast used to cover jelly? No way, jelly covers toast. The order matters immensely. Is paint used to cover wood? Yes, absolutely. See, our rigid sentence proves with 100% certainty that B is the correct verdict.
Let's move right along to case file 002, the grouping match. Your prompt words this time are fish and school. The suspects are A, wolf and pack, B, tiger and jungle, and C, raven and school. Now, a passive reader is going to immediately jump at option C just because it contains the exact word school. They're relying on those visual vibes. Please do not be fooled by that trap.
Let's build our bridge instead. The logical connection is A. A group of word A is called a word B. A group of fish is called a school. So we test. Is a group of tigers called a jungle? Nope, that's just where they live. Is a group of ravens called a school? No, fun fact, it's actually called a murder. Is a group of wolves called a pack? Yes. By forcing that logical connection, we effortlessly sidestep the trap and find our true match, A. Case file 003 brings us a slightly harder vocabulary challenge, the function match. The evidence is dirge and funeral. The suspects are A, chain and letter, B, bell and church, and C, jingle and commercial. Now, even if dirge is an unfamiliar word to you, if you can deduce from context or maybe some prior knowledge that it's a mournful song, you can still build a highly specific functional bridge. So the crucial point is this. Your bridge sentence becomes, a word A is a specific type of song used at a word B. A dirge is a specific type of song used at a funeral. Let's test it out. Is a chain a song used at a letter? Nonsense. Is a bell a song used at a church? No, a bell is an instrument, not a song. Is a jingle a specific type of song used at a commercial? Yes. Matching the functional relationship highlights the correct pair without breaking a sweat. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, our grand unified reading theory. How does all this analogy training actually fit into the bigger picture of reading comprehension? Well, as our source material outlines, complete reading mastery requires two very distinct skill sets. Context clues, things like synonyms or appositives hidden in a sentence, those help you understand what words are. They decode unknown meaning. Analogies, on the flip side, train your brain to understand what words do. They decode hidden relationships and logical patterns. You need both to truly close the case on complex texts. By practicing analogies, you're basically sharpening your analytical mind to find the invisible threads holding all written arguments together. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative test straight from Chapter 2 of the textbook to chew on. Umbrage is to offense. Are these words synonyms? Are they antonyms? What exact bridge sentence will you build to find the answer among these 5 suspects? Apply your brand new active investigator skills, trust the bridge sentence protocol, and remember, reading comprehension is not some innate talent you either have or you don't. It's a repeatable, highly trainable system. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy investigating.